Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. You're probably wondering what happened to the reading today. What is DC doing? I have an amazing special episode, which is the reason I'm Friday, not Monday. I'm here with my dear friend, literally
We're co-publishers.
This is my master plan partner. So the amazing Miss Jaime Dalton. And we're here to introduce you to something that you guys are going to be hearing a lot more, is our new and exciting project, the Tales collections, published by Tales, which L stands for library. The rest of them figure it out and tell us what you think. We're going to be bringing you this evening. I think we have 4 or 5 amazing authors are joining us. We want to explain to you guys what it is, give you a sneak peek. By the way, I'm actually going to be doing a reading at the end of this, which never happens. I don't know what I'm thinking, but we're going to go with this. So, Jaime, honey, how are you?
I am good. I'm ready for all things fall.
All things fall. So, for our listeners, Tales collection, tell us, because you might be much better off than I, because I'll start giggling. What is Tales of? What do we get ourselves into? Come on.
A lot, actually. We got ourselves into a lot. So, if you have followed either one of us, we have done a lot of anthologies in our author careers, and we decided that we wanted to start helping authors publish as affordably as we possibly could. I had done Operation Author for a while, which I love, but it was a lot. So we decided to do a master plan where a couple times a year we are doing short story collections that are themed, and they're any genre, any spice level other than the absolute spiciest. And just because Amazon, we don't want it shadow banned, but we are doing these collections that are completely free for authors to submit their stories to. Then we are choosing up to 8 stories to publish alongside our own. That way it's a short enough collection that we can publish these as print, because can only print so much. So while we're doing this, we are equally dividing all of the profits, all of the income between everybody involved, including us, without taking an extra cut. And we are handling all of the, like, I'm making the covers, we're doing the formatting, we are taking care of all the marketing, but we're being very open and transparent about the process so that anyone who wants to, they are able to kind of learn how we publish and kind of what it takes for something to go really well. So within that, we decided to create a narrator who is fabulous. And she goes between all of the collections, and she is the librarian. She is like a magical, mysterious woman that you will not see her face or know her name, because she is human phobic and does not want to share any of that. But she does have a coffee addiction, which we adore. And
so coffee addiction with maybe a little spike addiction to the coffee. Yes. Which is going to let you figure it out.
We'll say adult coffee addiction.
There you go. I like that. It's an adult beverage with a lot of caffeine and a lot of everything else. For anybody who's been watching or reading my stuff, I write Constantine, who is definitely that 5 Days Real talking cat, who happens to be the most loving, caring, question marks ever. But he's a great benefactor. So he is the biggest benefactor of this library. And since you have money, you might as well pull some strings. And I'm his favorite human.
Of course.
Jaime officially has to balance us out. So Jaime and I and Magnetra, which we'll tell you all about it, happened to win this internship to this library, which, by the way, she's not very happy about it because she really did not appreciate that Constantine pulls strings. But hey, Are we complaining, Jaime?
Not at all. Not at all. Most of the time. We make no promises of snark remarks being slipped into the books. No promises.
We're introducing you today. By the way, this book just came out October 15th. So there's going to be some cool things we're going to share today. We're going to give you some infos on giveaway, where to find more information and be in touch. But the fun part about it is you're going to have this narrator, the librarian, through all the collections. So as we release new ones, we're going to bring them on. So you're going to get really familiar with Jaime and I in terms of our writing process. Also, we want to give you guys some tips, because This is a book that we have. How many new authors, Jamie, do we have in this collection?
I want to say two or three of them. This is their very first thing they're publishing. Several of them, it's their first thing for a new pen name. The ones that are published, they have published quite a few books. They're figuring out the baby steps of the marketing part. They've been working on their backlist. So we're kind of helping with that.
One of the things you guys will find out is Jamie and I are very active on different social media. So if you guys are free on Thursday nights, jump on TikTok and come check our lives because we are officially a ham. But it has been really fun to be able to bring how we see things from a very unique perspective into this world and how introduce them into a collection that's very stress-free. That has been the biggest things. Like it's been very much, we're going to take care of a lot of the things and publish something that is going to be available forever that people can enjoy and be able to follow along on the journey of her interns and herself, the librarian, as they try to set out these collections that the library thinks that they should be out. So this is volume 1, Tales of Howloween. By the way, Jamie, where did you come up with this title? Let's just go with that. I'm like, what? Huh? How are we doing this?
Honestly, I was trying to figure out what to do for a Halloween title, and I happened to be scrolling through paranormal romance, and I was like, Howl, Howl, Halloween. Why am I not doing this? Like, why not? Yeah, I was very excited.
The cover is gorgeous. So if you guys are
Yo.
looking at the clip art, it is gorgeous. Jamie, tell us a little bit about what is it in this collection that all authors have in common? Because, by the way, it goes from one extreme to the other. I'm not even going to lie.
It's
What do
true.
what do we have in common that everybody can be like, oh, this is what we're expecting?
All of the stories in this one, 'cause every collection is going to be a different theme. This one, all of the short stories, wow, had to either be about wolf shifters or werewolves in some sort of situation. And like I said, these are all genres, but that works because technically, this library that our librarian works in and that we now work in, it's kind of like a mix between the show The Librarians and Loki, like that sort of world where multiple worlds are being collected in this library in as books, as stories. And so these are just submissions and things that are from that. So you really do get all genres because I think this collection we've got sci-fi romance, we've got paranormal romance, we've got high fantasy, we have urban fantasy, we have dystopian. We have like everything literally going from no romance to real spicy.
In case you guys are wondering, I definitely have the no spice category because I'm giving you some of Bart, and I'm still having a hard time with this kid actually being able to date. So he's not. This is not even going to go there. Constantine cannot handle this. We have some alien romance. So the fun thing about it is you're going to be very engaged. The actual formatting, I'm going to tell you because I'm completely biased because Jamie is a genius. It's so gorgeous. It's like 487 pages of pure fun for anybody who likes print books. So Jamie, let's talk about your story because one of the things we decided is where we're going to be in these collections. Give us a background. What is your story about and what can people expect? And spice level, since you want to, make sure that we know that mine doesn't have any. Do tell.
Right? So mine is like a 3 out of 5, which actually on our website we have a like breakdown of what each of our spice ratings means. But my story is high fantasy, and it is about a sorceress who is really powerful, but kind of remote. And her mentor, she is trying to find a special herb because they are sick and she's trying to save them. And she ends up being captured by a pack of mercenary wolf shifters. They basically took her to take her back to a very powerful evil wizard who wants her because she's a threat to him. And she is trying to convince them to let her go, especially someone who happens to be her fated mate. It is very sassy, very snarky. There is one open door. I will admit, I will probably never write above a 3 when it comes to the spice level because I am fairly vanilla when I like to write my stuff, and that's what I like to read. So it's very sweet, it's very snarky. It's a lot of fun.
I have known Jamie, I want to say over a year and a half, almost 2. It's becoming a thing. It's been a while now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Love your
Actually,
style.
we're right at our 2-year anniversary, Season of the Witch.
Oh my God,
2
yes.
years ago. Happy
Has it been 2
anniversary.
years? We're doing a little happy dance for everybody who's wondering what the jiggling is. Where do you get your inspiration? Because I've known you for a while. Every time we talk, like, I have this idea and I'm going, that is brilliant. Did not see that coming. Where does it come from you?
Most of it comes from Wouldn't It Be Funny If? and then spins off of like everything around me. Sometimes it's other books I'm reading. I fully admit most of the time if I'm watching stuff myself, it is Eastern stuff so that I cannot be on my phone. And I'm reading subtitles and that helps me chill out. So I watch a lot of Eastern dramas, anime, that kind of stuff. So I get a lot of inspiration from that and like a lot of tropes that I don't see in Western stuff that I adore. And I'm like, I want to figure out a way to put that in a Western setting, not Western as in cowboys, but like the US and England and Europe and that kind of thing. But yeah, so I tend to pull from a lot of that. And then it just turns into, wouldn't it be funny if? And then I have to figure out a story for it.
In case you're wondering, they're always funny because one of those things I'm like, why does she torture her people as much as she does? I'm not nearly as bad. I'm just going to go put it out there. My people don't get nearly as much torture as Jamie, but they do have an amazing adventure. You have been helping authors, honey, forever since I can remember. You've either been doing covers, you've been doing marketing, you've been doing information nonstop. What advice would you give an up and coming author that this might help you to get started or to the next step?
The biggest thing is that tropes are an author's superpower, and literally every single part of publishing can be broken down into tropes. When we think about tropes, we normally think about like enemies to lovers and like what's in the book. But really, readers' behaviors, readers' hobbies, that kind of thing, and authors' behaviors and authors' hobbies can get broken down into tropes. And that helps us with what to post for social media and how to connect with them. Same with like covers breaks down into tropes. Literally every single thing can be broken down into tropes. And if you highlight tropes, especially the really big popular ones, that is the best way to be able to make sales from your ads, from your social media posts, that kind of thing. And then the other thing, because it was my most expensive mistake in publishing by far, is to interview and kind of test the waters with editors and cover designers, because not every editor and not every cover designer is really the right for you or for your story or your genre. You really need someone who gets your audience and who's going to be almost like a cheerleader for you. So that was a very expensive mistake that I learned.
An expensive mistake for everybody. Some people have such a negative experience with editors that they should completely refuse to have them.
It's true.
Think about it. Like sometimes there's a difference between good criticism and editors destroying authors with their criticisms because you can get very petty.
Had that. I was ball like you, the poor thing ended up with messages from me. So I was like, am I really this bad of a writer? No, he just was not my target audience. It's all good.
And that's the reality about it. Sometimes we forget we don't like all the books we read. Let's be honest. We don't like all the things that we see. Everybody's not going to connect with our stories. And this is something that as we go through this collection, there's a little bit for everyone.
Yes.
But we also have to be kind. Like writers are humans. Do not destroy them because it didn't connect. So be gentle with writers because we are sensitive people. So Jamie, what do you have coming up next? Let's talk about that before we get you into your reading. I know we're doing this a little backwards, but I needed to introduce Jamie before we started. So tell us, what are you working next? Because you have tons of stuff coming.
So much. So obviously the next Tales, our Christmas villain one, I am working on that right now. And then after that, my Goddess Broken duology that releases this spring, and I'm excited about that. And then I'm also working on building a collection, which I convinced somebody to come with me for, of full-length retelling novels. And that is going to be releasing next fall, which I might be working on a couple books that might be releasing tandem with mine in a shared world thing, like all at once. So we won't even talk about the stuff I already have written for 2025. I have been on a roll and I've run out of room in my schedule to publish it the way I want to. So it's all good.
In case you're all wondering, I have been trying to get Jamie to come talk to us for a very long time. If you guys remember, she was on this show 2 years ago when her first book came out. So it's been a minute. So you guys are probably familiar if you've been following us. It's taken us a while to connect because our schedules are super packed. And Jamie is super busy, but it's always so much fun. So this time it's like, yes, we need to get Jamie on. Good news is you're going to hear more often because every time we have a collection. So before we jump to your reading, because this collection is super exciting, what can people expect in terms of like, if they're interested in learning more about this, where can they learn more about our collections and some of the goodies we have?
Yes. So the easiest way is going to be jamiedalton.net. It has its own page specifically for this, and we always have submissions open for the next one. So you can kind of go and check and see what the current theme is, no matter when you're checking out this video. And yeah, so we always have the open like at jamiedalton.net. And normally the collections are just like 8 to 12,000 words, whatever you want to do within that. We're really pretty open. We love having variety in these. It just makes it so much more fun.
So you guys can tell, this is number one of our Tales collection. This is coming from the Tales. Yes, Alice, the library. The librarian has given her seal of approval. Constantine is not complaining too much. And it's coming out already on all major outlets. You guys can pick it up, both the print as well as the ebook. So depending on what you guys enjoy, give us some love, give us some reviews, because we always have fun. We want to hear what you guys really think about this. And then be prepared, because the next collection coming on is going to be Tales of Christmas Villains. So,
yes,
it's coming.
Which is Jamie. So good.
So you guys can tell we talked a lot, so this is so much fun. But we got more authors coming. We're going to give you guys an insight into it. But Miss Jamie, are you ready for your reading?
Sure.
You should see the look she gave me. It's kind of interesting. I'm turning it over to the...
Forgotten about the reading until like 2 minutes ago.
She did have that look. So whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay. The pack traveled in well-ordered silence, working their way towards my prison. I was angry. I'm a mage, for crying out loud. The cuff was gone, and just because they caught me once didn't mean they could do it again. When Cassius moved ahead, out of sight, I quickly darted into the thick undergrowth alongside the trail. Thorns scraped my arms, but I kept running. My feet flew through the undergrowth as I ran from the pack. Thorns snagged my clothes, but it didn't slow me down. A howl split the air behind me, followed by pounding paws. I ran faster, dodging trees. I stumbled, a soft gasp escaping my lips. A gray wolf suddenly appeared, its menacing snarl sending shivers down my spine. Then it began to transform, and I suddenly found myself staring into the wild, intense eyes of Cassius. His strong grip on my arm pulled me upright as he spoke in a low rumble, his voice vibrating through my bones. Running only excites my wolf. My heart fluttered at the implication behind his words, but I tried to hide my confusion with a glare. You won't get away with this, I spat, trying to make my voice sound firm. Yet I couldn't ignore the inexplicable attraction that seemed to swirl between us, something I refused to let lead to anything. Cassius pulled me back towards the others. A strange warmth emanated from his hand to mine where he held me. More running will not aid your cause. His voice softened. He guided me to the rear of the pack. Walk beside me. No harm shall come to you. His touch was gentle, not forcing. I was angry. At my second failed attempt to escape for not having used any magic while I ran to prevent this outcome, and for this unexplainable pull I was beginning to feel towards the wolf who refused to offer me my freedom, but I realized further escape attempts were now futile. Instead, I would watch for another chance. For now, I had no choice but to resign myself to walk beside Cassius, awaiting a chance to flee and help my mentor. So, Furball, tell me about your pack. Low growls vibrated through the air from the shifters surrounding me, bringing a smirk to my face.
Ooh, so you guys have to check out her story. Super, super fun. Tales of Howloween. The amazing Miss Jaime Dalton here, hanging out. Sweetie, thank you so much. Happy dance.
Yes, I'm so excited for this.
It's going to be fabulous. Ready for lightning round?
Yes, let's do this.
Easy peasy. Hot chocolate? Oh, apple cider.
Hot chocolate.
Nice. Gummy bears or Sour Patch?
Sour Patch. Until my tongue hurts.
I have that mental picture. I was like, ooh.
I can feel it on my tongue already just thinking about it.
City or country?
Oh, both? Suburban. Can we say that? Suburban. So I can have both.
I like that. Nice job. Desktop or laptops?
Laptop.
Here's a little different. I'm very curious about this. If you had a warning label, what would it be?
Hot mess book, mama.
Not surprised. All right, my love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking on this insane project with me and not running away. Thank you for that beautiful cover and everything coming up to everyone. Go ahead, check out the fabulous Miss Jamie. Check out the website. Not just our page, but everything she has. Sign up for the newsletter. You're not going to be disappointed. Absolutely exciting author that's going to keep you entertained with a whole bunch of sass. So, dear, I'm going to leave you. Everybody stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I have another author coming up. and it's going to be fabulous. So in the meantime, bye, Jamie.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Inside the Minds of Author and our very special episode of Tales of Howloween. I have now the amazing Miss Laura joining us, and we're going to talk about her story in this submission. Hi, Miss Laura. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Daisy?
I am so happy you're joining us. I'm so happy you're playing with Jamie and I, enjoying this process. We're going to start by you reading your story. What is the title? Give us a little bit and then start reading.
All right. The title is Moonlit Desires. It is following Emma as she gets to know Ravenwood and meets Ethan, which is the male main character. And then it just follows their journey in saving Ravenwood and her learning about her powers from her bloodline. Sitting on the edge of the bed, she looked around the room, her thoughts drifting to the memories that had flooded her mind when she touched Ethan's fur. The images of their past lives together were vivid and felt so real, as if she had truly experienced them. She knew there were many questions unanswered, and she was eager to learn more about her powers and the connection she shared with Ethan. But for now, she needed rest. Tomorrow will bring new challenges and revelations. The idea of a warm bath sounded incredibly soothing. She decided to indulge in a relaxing soak before going to bed. After meeting Taylor and borrowing some clothes to sleep in, she made her way to the bathroom. She entered the bathroom and sighed. The events of the day had left her feeling exhausted. She glanced at the bathtub in the corner, and her eyes widened. It was a huge clawfoot porcelain tub with gold hardware. She turned on the faucets, adjusting the temperature until the water reached perfect warmth. She undressed and stepped into the tub, sinking into the warm water with a grateful sigh. She closed her eyes and let the water wash over her. Tension melted away, and her mind began to wander to the events of the day. The encounter with the creepy creature, the revelation of some ancient powers, and the sudden reconnection with Ethan played in her mind like a vivid movie. As she relaxed in the bubble bath, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. The water seemed to cleanse her body both physically and emotionally. Her worries and fears were being washed away with the water, and she was filled with a sense of hope and anticipation for the future. Her mind drifted back to the vision she had experienced, the memories of a love that spanned lifetimes. The connection she felt with Ethan was undeniable, and she couldn't help but wonder what it meant. Lost in her thoughts, she allowed herself to fully surrender to the moment. She leaned back, feeling the support of the tub against her back, and let her fingers trace gentle patterns in the water. It was as if the ripples mirrored the complex emotions swirling within her. After some time, she reluctantly got out of the bath, dried off, and grabbed the clothes Taylor had let her borrow. Although they were similar sizes, Taylor was a bit shorter than her, and the red nightgown was shorter too. Where it would fall about mid or lower thigh on Taylor, it fell on her upper thigh, looking more like a long shirt than a dress. She wasn't going to complain, though. It was clean and covered her. It was form-fitting and accentuated the curves of her bust, waist, and hips, which just meant she wouldn't have to worry about it wrapping around her during the night when she tossed and turned. As she exited the bathroom, her skin still flushed with warmth, she collided with Ethan's bare chest. He stood just outside the door, his arms frozen mid-knock, a surprised expression crossing his face. He had a pair of sleep shorts thrown nonchalantly over his shoulder. Quickly, she stepped back, her cheeks tinged with a blush. Ethan's sculpted chest and defined muscles left her momentarily breathless. She fought the urge to trace the lines across his abs and run her fingers through the brown and gray hair on his chest. He wore the same shorts he'd been wearing earlier that day, riding low on his hips and leaving little to the imagination. The sight of him leaned back carelessly against the door frame sent a wave of warmth through her, and she could feel her cheeks flush. Heat radiated from his body, mixed with the light smell of warm cedar wood and musk as it wrapped around her in a dangerously seductive dance. He recovered from the surprise, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. Ethan's eyes traveled down her body, taking in the sight of her in the borrowed nightgown. The way his gaze lingered made her heart skip a beat. Emma, he growled slowly, as if he could hear her inner thoughts. A flush crept over his face as she quickly looked back into his eyes, then looked away. She felt his eyes following the path the nightgown had so generously provided, each pass igniting a fire. Her body heated under his gaze, the thin fabric of the gown feeling like nothing as he took in each curve, each pass more penetrating than the last. Taylor has a sense of humor putting you in red. Emma's heart skipped a beat at the husky timbre of his voice. Is the big bad wolf going to eat me? She said lowly, the trindles of lust and the calm of the bath leading her to be more courageous. Ethan stepped closer, pressing his body into hers, pinning her against the door jamb. He lifted her wrists above her head, pinning them as well, lifting the nightgown even higher and exposing her lower half. A gasp escaped her before he covered her mouth with his in a fiery, passionate kiss, sliding his knee between her legs, pressing his hip into the tender flesh there before pulling him on from deep within. Trails of electricity followed his fingertips as they made their way down his arms, over her breast to her hips. He grabbed onto her hips, his fingernails gently scraping the exposed skin before pulling a whimper from her, causing a soft moan to escape from him. After sweet, agonizing seconds, he broke the kiss and backed away. The suddenness left her feeling flustered and disheveled, her chest heaving as she moved away from the bathroom door. Ethan's eyes darkened with lust as he leaned in close. Careful, little Red, I'm just might, he growled as she walked away towards the bedroom.
So, everyone, we are back, and I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did. And I had the amazing pleasure that actually I happen to have read all these stories. So I feel like I'm cheating today. So I am loving it. Miss Laura, I need to know for our listeners, where did the idea for this story came from? Because this universe is really well defined.
Okay, so I am a huge werewolf fan. So as soon as I heard that the Tales of Halloween was going to be a werewolf set, I immediately knew that I was going to be at least submitting. On top of the fact that my birthday is in October and Halloween is my absolute favorite holiday. So whenever I got on the live and y'all had started talking about it, my mind just started churning with ideas. And I ended up settling on that one specifically because I loved the idea of having a werewolf like ritual set near Halloween night, and then having this girl who's got no idea what's going on coming in and just like busting in the middle of everything and ended up saving the day in the end.
You have such a fun story that brings all these elements together, especially for people who are not familiar with magic or the concept of the supernatural. To have your main character be completely virgin to this world and introducing that to was very precious. I was like, oh, so cute. When you're writing this story, how long did it take you to put it together? Because you literally nailed this one.
It actually did not take me very long, surprisingly. I found out about a month before they were due. So it took me, give or take, 3 weeks to get it written. And then I sent out an alpha read and a beta read. I literally had one person read it because she's my go-to source. And she read it and she's just like, look, I love this. It's ready to be published. Go ahead and send it through. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take your word for it because I ain't got no more time anyways. So
I'm excited you did it. We love this story. Since we're doing just a little snippet for everybody, if you wanted more about the stories, you definitely need to get the collection. I need to know, what advice would you give an up and coming author who decides, you know what, I want to submit for a collection or I want to do a short story? What would you tell them?
okay, follow your nose. Meaning just run with the idea that you have, and honestly, writing is something that you enjoy doing, that is going to come through whenever you write. Make sure that you read through it every time.
All right. I got a couple more questions before you let us go. So tell me,
All
sweetie,
right.
where can our listeners find you? Where they can learn more about you?
I have a TikTok. It's at Laura Schofield Author. I have 3 different Facebooks. I have my regular Facebook, which is Laura Ann Marie Schofield. I have my author page, which is lauraschofield.author. And then I have another Facebook page, which is just my review page. It is My Harlequin Heart. So those are the main places that I stay.
I like it. So everyone go ahead and check her out. Check out her reviews. You're really going to enjoy it. All right, dear, before you leave us, are you ready for the lightning round?
Oh, sure.
Super easy. Don't think too much about it. Let's see. Pepsi or Coke?
Sprite.
Okay. I like. Wizard or pirate?
I'm caffeine free. Oh, that one's hard. Wizard.
Okay. Scary movie or comedy?
Scary.
Took you a minute. You're like, oh, where do I go?
Action's my favorite. So I'm just like, well, which would be?
What's your second? Okay. If your main character had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, that one I don't know. Maybe Wolves by Selena Gomez.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's the first one that comes to mind.
I like it. I like it. Miss Laura, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're busy. You got things going on. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
Go read it. And don't forget to support your local indie authors.
Oh, I love it. Sweetie, thank you so much for joining me. Have an amazing day. Love your story. To our listeners, go check out the collection. It's out now. You don't want to miss it. 9 fabulous short stories that's going to keep you entertained. By the way, before you leave us, what is your spice level for this one? I forgot to ask you.
It is a 4 out of 5.
Okay, so just
Super
giving you guys a heads up.
I think 2 spicy scenes. So, and they are rather descriptive. So,
the spice level is high, guys. If you enjoyed, absolutely. Sweetie, thank you so much. Have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too, DC. And
remember, I have a couple more authors, so don't go too far. We're coming right back. Hi, everyone. We are back, and I'm so excited that you guys are joining us for this special episode of Inside the Minds of Author, all things Tales of Howloween. And right now, I have the amazing Miss River joining us with us. Hello, dear. How are you?
I am good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I am so thrilled, A, that you're joining me on the podcast, and also you're joining us on this collection. So happy dance.
Yes.
And we're going to jump right in. I'm going to turn it over to you so you can introduce your story, do the reading, and then we'll get back to our thing. So all yours.
Okay. Well, as said before, I'm River Seabrook, and my story is A Red Moon Rises. It's sort of a sci-fi dystopian. The wolves in this one are nature spirits, and wolves are not the only nature spirits we have. Our main characters for this story is a wolf spirit and a cat spirit, Kate and Milo. And so we will be reading from the second chapter, which is from Milo's perspective. He's finding himself in some trouble. It kind of sets off the plot. So I guess here we go. Milo's back slammed against the wall, and his head cracked against the hard crete surface. A large fist clutched his shirt collar and pulled it tight against his neck. He coughed and gasped all at once. Just tell us what we want to know, and this will all be over before the bell rings. Milo gargled a laugh and tried for a nonchalant shrug. Listen, fellas, I already told you. The shirt collar tightened around his throat. I don't know what you're talking about. He croaked out his increasingly desperate plea. This was not something that had been on his bingo list at the beginning of the evening. A large human, in a studded leather vest and black leather pants, was shoving him against the back wall of the club. The man had short cropped hair so blonde it was almost white, barely covering a large and violent misshapen head, with ink that covered both his hulking swollen arms. His blue eyes were red-tinged and veiny, no doubt from the prism allotment he received from his job. The stimmed-out behemoth in front of him was flanked by 2 slightly smaller but no less mean-looking bruisers in sunglasses. They seemed to be under the mistaken impression that Milo had gotten his paws on some of their boss's money. Don't lie to me, the Hulk yelled in Milo's face. Milo cringed from the volume and spit spray. We track the assets being transferred through your crypt bills tonight. A look of confusion flashed over Milo's pain-contorted face. That shouldn't have been possible. After all, The concept of crypt bills was to stop exactly that. So no one would know how many bits you had, where they went, or where they came from. But of course, the rich must have tagged their bits with an extra 0 or something on the end. He rolled his eyes. Typical. Listen, Milo hissed out. The bruiser let off his windpipe just enough so he could speak a little more clearly. You've got the wrong guy. I don't even have my bills on me. I gave them to some girls tonight. You can check if you don't believe me. The shifter raised his hands in a gesture of innocence. Ugly narrowed his eyes, but shot a questioning glance at his buddies. One curled a lip and shrugged. The other cracked his neck. Whatever stim junkie code had just been passed between the three, Milo had no clue. But a second later, the hands released him, and he slumped to the floor, just managing to keep his balance as he landed on his feet. He cleared his throat and rubbed his neck. Thanks. Prove it. The big man jutted out his chin and rumbled the command. Neck cracker started on his knuckles next. Milo swallowed. Oh, right. The flustered man began patting his jacket. After a second, he collected his head enough to start methodically and quickly sliding his hands into all of his pockets. At the moment, infuriatingly many pockets. See, just like I said, why did he even have so many pockets? I'm dry, there's nothing. Milo froze as his hand touched a familiar wad of bills stuffed in his back pocket. He had spoken too soon. His face paled and his green eyes widened ever so slightly, although he tried very hard to show no signs of his shock. But his quick-thinking efforts were proved moot the second his searching eyes locked on her.
Hi, everyone. We are back, and I hope you guys enjoyed that reading as much as I did. I have the fortune of knowing what's happening next, and you guys are going to have to read the story in our collection to get the whole picture because it's super exciting. Tell me, Miss River, how do you feel about your story?
I'm super excited about it. I'm very critical of my work. It takes a lot for me to be really proud of something, but I'm actually very happy with this story, and I can't wait to share my characters and my world with everyone else.
You absolutely need to be proud because it's so much fun and it's so good. I need to know, where did this story come from?
This is not something I would have normally written. I wouldn't have thought of putting all these things together without you and Jamie and like the challenge set out by the Tales of Howloween collection, because I normally don't do werewolves and I normally don't do spooky. And so I was like, what could I do that would be on brand for me that could incorporate those things? And so I went, well, okay, spooky, that's scary, right? Well, I don't do ghosts, but apocalypses are spooky, right? So I was like, I can do that. That's where the sci-fi came from. And then shifters and wolves, oh my goodness, I don't know enough about wolves. That's what it is. I was like, I can't do like straight werewolves or like actual wolf shifters because I feel like I would get so many things wrong and I didn't have the time to do the amount of research I would have wanted to do to make something like scientifically accurate. I was like, what other kind of shifting can there be? My mind went back to mythology and folklore, which is a huge love of mine. And I really love anime. So I thought of Japanese folklore, in which they have like all sorts of animal spirits that can take on the shape of humans. That's where that idea came from. Putting it all together, we get a Red Moon Rises that's both like sci-fi and mythology.
So the combination you brought to the table was so much fun. I love the fact, and let's be honest, I'm officially an undercover cat lady. I have cat books everywhere. So this one touched my soul. I was like, oh my God, that is so cute. I love the fact that you made the male character the actually like the small one needing help. I was like, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it would be so fun to like take the wolf shifter romance stereotype and kind of turn it around and have like the female lead be the kind of tough and rumble one. I don't necessarily think Milo is effeminate, but he's definitely graceful. He's more on the sleek side of things, being a cat spirit. He definitely gets himself in trouble a lot, and Kate has to help him out for sure.
More delicate. We're going to go with delicate. What are you doing? Why do you keep doing this to yourself?
The exact Kate's question exactly.
That boy. For this
Mhm.
story, how much fun did you have writing it? Because you're going outside of your comfort zone and you're going, okay, I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah.
do this and then I'm going to submit it. How did that process felt for you?
Oh my gosh, it was kind of scary in all the submission process, but it was really fun writing because I got like very sucked into my characters. I had so much fun coming up with them and writing them and their dynamic. I love like banter. So that was an absolute favorite of mine to write. And I loved doing a kind of a grumpy sunshine relationship vibe where the woman was grumpy. I thought that was super fun. I really liked writing it. It was definitely a stretch of the imagination to think of, okay, how can I get the vibes right and how can I get the setting right? And I had a really good playlist that I made that helped me out a lot. I would listen to every time I wrote. So I think that makes it a lot of fun.
You nailed the combination, the sassiness combined with the whole like, why? There's all these questions like, what are you doing? What is the spice level for this story?
I believe for this anthology, it's considered a one because there is definite romance, but nothing, it's a slow burn, and you won't find the rest of the burn until more of the story comes out in later publications. I guess clean romance, but that's how it could be said. So I would personally maybe consider it like zero spice, but for this anthology, the rating is a one.
We told you guys we have all sorts of options for everybody. Some clean romance, it has lots of action. This is the story you need that you truly are going to enjoy. Tell me, dear, what advice would you give an up and coming author who decides, you know what, I want to take this leap and start writing or start submitting to anthologies?
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I was in that position a year ago, like exactly. I was about to give up on writing completely myself. And I received some encouragement while I was at a writing panel at a con from a lot of people who were really advocating for me to think outside the box because I have chronic illness. And so writing is very difficult for me. But the idea of finding what works for you is very, I feel like, unique and not talked about enough. Everyone has the list of rules you should follow. Write so many words every day, show, don't tell, plot this, don't plot that, save the cat. And none of that really works for me. So my process has just been finding what works for me and my creativity. So I would say to anyone else who wants to join this publishing sphere, don't be afraid to do something different. Be yourself, find what works for you, and just run with it.
That is absolutely perfect. And sometimes we want to fit into all this little tips and
Mhm.
what's great. And what happens when we don't fit in into that bubble? We get very frustrated.
Mhm.
So the advice you got, what made you decide, yes, I'm going to keep writing and I'm okay doing it my way?
Definitely the encouragement I received at that panel from other people who were attendees like myself who also had chronic illness, and they said, "Oh, you can join this Facebook group with these people. They're spoony authors." And then all the authors on the panel that just encouraged me so personally to not give up on this dream or on this thing that I just really enjoy doing. I was given a signed copy of a book that day that one of the authors had there, and he put a note in it saying that he wanted to see me up on panels someday myself, and that was just so encouraging. I don't know. It was a push that I needed to carry through with something that I felt was like maybe one of the last options I had in my life to find something that I could accomplish. Again, my chronic illness has really impacted my life very heavily. And I've had to give up things like ballet and acting and other much more like physical dreams. And so writing, I was like, well, I've always been a storyteller, whether it's, with my faces or on a stage or whatever. So I was like, I can do this, I think. So I'm going to try. It's that, as TikTok would say, the power of delusion.
Delusion when you're doing it is the power of having that faith and belief and taking that leap of faith. So I'm so
Mhm.
happy you did it. And I'm so happy you're enjoying it because sometimes we do stuff and we
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. True. That is such a big problem I found when I was starting out is like, don't get sucked up in work that you don't enjoy. I came up with a rule for myself years ago when I was writing my first novel that if I don't enjoy writing it, no one will enjoy reading it.
That is very accurate because those feelings translate very easily to the page. So you're able to put those emotions. So
Yeah.
you're having a blast. You found that calling. You're
Mhm.
still telling stories. You're still creating this universe. What is next? What else are you working on now?
Oh my goodness. Well, I do have that novel in question. I wrote, gosh, what is it, 6 years ago now? I did my first draft of this novel when I was in high school. It's a high fantasy, so a little bit of a genre shift from Red Moon Rises, but still a lot of fun, still a lot of witty banter. I have that one that I'll be working on, as well as I really want to expand this story in Tales into its own full novel. So I'm thinking NaNoWriMo, maybe, which is coming up very soon. I figure I can just maybe keep the energy going with these characters in this world and roll right through it. So maybe that's what's next for me.
I am super excited. I want to hear all about it.
Mhm.
So we definitely need to stay in touch. Where
Yeah.
can our listeners find you, dear? Where can they learn more about you? Where they can stay connected with you?
Mm. Okay, well, yes, River Seabrook author on TikTok and River Seabrook on Instagram, RMH Creations, I believe, on Instagram, that is. My TikTok, you are River Seabrook author, you'll find me.
Easy peasy, guys. You are able to enjoy it. Find the fabulous Miss River. Get connected.
Mhm.
So, madam, before you leave us, you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Super easy. Don't think too much about this. Let's see how you do.
Okay. Okay.
Water or soda?
Soda.
Okay. Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Superhero or villain?
Superhero. I
It's
like the
all
good
good.
guys.
Because here's the next one. Going with that. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Telekinesis.
Why?
I have so many ideas on how you could use telekinesis. I've thought way too much about it.
I love it. Sweetie, do you have any closing remarks?
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the reading of my story and this little segment that I got to do with DC. And I hope you read Tales of Halloween and enjoy it. And I look forward to hearing from you all in the great wide web. I'm here. I'm doing things. Come find me.
Everyone, you need to go check her out. Make sure you follow her, whether you're on Instagram or TikTok. Pick up this anthologies. Remember, I have a couple more authors coming today. So stay tuned and we'll be back. Hello, hello, everyone. We are back. I have another amazing author that is joining us in Tales of Howloween. I have the amazing Miss Charlene, and I'm going to turn it over to her this time so she can kick us out with her story. All yours, dear.
Okay, this planet is uncharted. It won't be anything you know. Even then, astrozoology never interested me. To my right is a pile of what first looks like bricks, but as I release my left eye, which thankfully does not seem to be spiraling into an oral migraine, I can clearly see grain moving in one direction and instead label it as a type of wood, likely meant for the small fire pit in the center of the cave. Above is a tiny hole, big enough to let the smoke out but keep the warmth in. I spot my helmet and gloves and boots off to my left. A chill runs up my spine as my brain adds more of the facts together. I don't remember stumbling into this cave. I remember my parachute not opening fast enough and everything going black as I hit snow and rock. My parachute is nowhere to be found, and I would not have taken off my helmet without my suit confirming that the planet was breathable, which means someone or something has brought me in here. It's then, to my horror, that I notice my suit has been unzipped. My shirt underneath has been pulled up a little too high for my comfort, and my sixth sense is starting to buzz like crazy. As I dart my eyes around the cave again, there's no one else here. And yet my pants are still fully intact. Maybe it is more than a muscle spasm. Maybe my blood loss accounts for my head pounding and what I'm feeling right now. Maybe I'm dying. As I turn my torso, desperate to look at whatever wound awaits me on my back, the blanket shifts. Not because I've turned my torso, but it shifted of its own accord. I freeze. Suddenly, it feels a little too heavy to be a blanket, a little too warm. Something twitches on my right, and what I thought was a different bundle of blankets is in fact not one bushy tail, but two. It is now that I feel the steady rise and fall of a breathing body against my legs, and as I twist my torso around, the creature lifts its head curiously. Three bright lavender eyes stare at me from the end of a long gray muzzle. They blink curiously, two of them in unison and one out of step, and two long fangs stick out from its upper lip slightly.
Let's jump in. Hello, hello. How are you feeling today?
Good, a little nervous, but good.
Nothing to be nervous about. We're going to jump right in because I need to know, where did this story come from? Where is the idea for this baby? And give us a little background on it.
Okay, so I'm a little bit in my alien romance era myself. I've been reading a lot of Ice Planet and Barbarians. So when I saw the call to this anthology, I was in a bit of a writing slump on my other work. And I don't know, this idea just sprung to mind. And I was like, okay, so the theme has to be wolves. And then I thought, what about space werewolves? And then the idea just exploded from there. And I'm really excited about it and about the world that I've created.
When we first read this, I looked at Jamie and the two of us were like, really? I never would have thought about it. This is so much fun. How much time did you spend in this world? Because you have a fairly defined world, and I want you to give us a little bit of background of what our main character is going through for our listeners.
Well, if I'm being honest, I feel like I saw the call for submissions quite late in the game, like quite close to the due date. And I don't know if it's just because I was in a slump with the fantasy stuff that I'm writing under my other pen name or what, but this world just snowballed really fast. Themes in alien romances are, of course, kidnapped or trafficked women. So that just kind of fell apart really quickly. And then I thought, well, I need to break this woman apart from the other group that she's with. So what if she has to go outside on the spaceship and fix something? And while they're crashing, she gets thrown off the ship. And so she's all by herself on this planet. That's kind of how it came together.
You mentioned you're writing other pen names. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it while we have you here? So, like, what else do you have going on?
Sure. I also write under Veronica Vaughn. I write urban fantasy and like sort of high fantasy under that. And I've got an urban fantasy series out and I've got a fairy tale retelling series out, which is like my baby right now. Like I am a huge Disney fan. And so this is what I would have loved to have read growing up or coming into adulthood because it is meant for adults. Think of if you watched the show Once Upon a Time and you ever thought, which I did, like, man, I wish they would do a whole season just in the Enchanted Forest when all the stories are mashing together, like all of the original fairy tales. That's what this is. That's what that is.
That is so much fun. I am an urban fantasy fanatic as well as a writer. So I'm like, ooh, that's so much fun. Why did you decide to change your pen names?
So I actually write under 3 pen names. And I feel like when you're starting out as an indie author, there's a lot of different advice that's being thrown at you. And of course, everything's going to work differently for different people. And a lot of people were like, stick to your lane, write in one thing, and then don't change it because I don't know, your readership won't follow you or just something weird. And I always thought, well, I like to kind of read and write in a little bit of everything. So I decided to go with 3 separate pen names, one for literary, one for sort of more fantasy, urban fantasy adventure, and then one romance. And I do sort of have romance in across all 3, but the difference is if it's a Charlene Pender title, like the goal is romance versus just having a romantic sideline. So I just sort of compartmentalized it all that way.
I'm completely jealous because my mind is like, yeah, I just mash all my stuff together. Like there's no separation of nothing. I was like, good luck. I'll give you descriptions. Read those. So tell me, because this collection has 9 authors, we all have different spice level. As Jamie likes to remind me, spice level for everyone. What is your level of spice for this one?
So I will disclaim that I am horrible at spice levels, but I put this at a spice level 2 because there is a little bit of simmer. There's a little bit of sizzle. There's a little bit of thinking of, wow, where could this go? And why am I so attracted to this alien wolf shifter man? And there's a little bit of not inappropriateness, but there's a part where he's helping her heal and he kind of gets a little too close to one of her intimate places and she likes it. And then she's like, whoa, hold on. You're a wolf. Like, so I put it at a 2, 2 out of 5.
I like that level for everybody listening. I write a 0, so I'm always like, "Ooh, yes, we got diversity in here."
Yeah,
Sweetie, what are you working on besides this? Once this one completes, what do you have coming up next?
so this story in the anthology is called Celestial Rescue. I am working on a series to follow the rest of the women on the ship that crashes. So I'm working on book 1 for that. And I'm really excited. I'm working on, under Charlene Pender, I'm working on a mafia sort of romance, sort of dark romance, which dark romance is not my thing, but for some reason this book is just pulling it all out of me. So, and then on the Veronica Bond side, I am working on book 4 in my fairy tale retelling series. Those are my main projects right now.
You are busy. You have lots of stuff coming and going. I'm like, wow. How do you separate between one project and the other?
You know what? I'm finding I'm a mood reader, which I'm also learning. think I'm also a mood writer. So I've been really in a rut with my fantasy stuff right now. Not that it's not going well. I'm being stubborn about the book and the place it's in, and it's where it's supposed to be. But anyways, so having the submission to this anthology and having this alien space wolf story just snowball together has been really refreshing for me. I'm still figuring out my writing sort of schedule and process a bit, but
If it's working, go for it. And that way you're not forcing it and it doesn't feel rushed.
Yes. And I think that was the problem was I felt too forced to finish or to work on book 4 in my fairy tale retelling series that I was just so happy. I saw Jamie's call to submissions and that this whole other world just sort of exploded out of me. And it's just been like a good palate cleanser, really, for my writing.
Every time authors say that, I know readers look at us like, palate cleanser. It is when you're writing and when you're immersed in something, you need that break. So I love it.
Yeah.
So question, sweetie, where can our listeners find you? Where they can learn more about you and the books? Where are you located? And all your different pen names.
So www.veronicabond.com is where you can find my fairy tale retelling stuff and my urban fantasy stuff. I don't have a website yet for Charlene Pender. I'm working on it. Otherwise, I will be there. I am on Instagram across all 3 of my pen names. I, of course, don't have them up in front of me, so I couldn't even tell you what the right things are. But I'm on TikTok as well for 2 of the pen names, and I'm on Facebook for Veronica Bond as well. I'm not the best at social media.
You're doing amazing because I'm like, I don't know how you handle all that. I was like, I have one and I'm already overwhelmed. So I'm like, oh my God. So I love it. Question, sweetie, before you leave us, I want to know what advice would you give an up and coming author, especially one who has this desire to write in multiple genres?
You know what? There's so much different advice to follow out there too. And I think that the most cliched one is the true one. It's just get the words on the paper first. Like, just write it out. And I've even gotten to the point where if I don't know a character's name or a place's name, I'll just start writing the scene and then caps, I'll just be like, name here, place here, like just get it out. And then you can go in and fill in the details later, basically.
Love it. To your listeners, that's a great advice. Just start anywhere. Just
start. Yeah.
Put it on paper. Okay, dear. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Oh gosh. Okay.
The look on your face was priceless. Like easy peasy. Woo-hoo. Coffee or tea?
Tea, but I really don't drink much of either.
Fair enough. Spicy or sweet?
Ooh, what are we talking about?
You get to pick. That will be up to you.
I'm going to say sweet.
Okay. Wizard or knight?
Wizard.
Okay. DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
Me too. I know we have the same name, but I'm still going, yeah. So here is a little different. Let's see how you do with this one. If you could be any superhero, who would you pick?
Like a superhero that already exists?
Or one that you make up. You get to pick.
Okay. My first instinct was Superman. I don't know why. It's very cliche, but I'm going to go Sailor Moon because Sailor Moon's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sailor Moon's awesome. I have a Sailor Moon shelf upstairs. Yeah.
That is perfect. Absolutely. Sweetie, congratulations on the story. I love the twist. I was like, oh, did not see that coming. Very nice. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
I'm just really excited for this to come out, and I just can't wait to see where it goes.
It is such a beautiful book. For everybody who likes print books, you guys have to check it out. It is gorgeous. You guys are going to love it. Thank you, madam. Have an amazing day and happy dance to everyone. And I can't wait to hear all the other stuff you have going on. Okay, guys,
Thanks for having me.
we have one more author joining us, so stay tuned. It's going to be fabulous. Hello, my dear listeners. I'm glad you're still joining us. You're having a blast. This has been an amazing day for a special edition podcast, all things Tales of Howloween. I have the amazing S.R. Griffith with us, who's going to be sharing her story. So, hi, dear. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm having a blast. I'm hoping you're ready. Love your story. So, I'm going to turn it over to you and have you get us started. Go for it.
Okay. My story is called White Falls Haunt. And here it is. Chapter 1, Abby. I love haunted houses. My friends told me about this haunted trail in a weird community a few hours away in the town of White Falls. They had space and wanted some easy cash. I sat in the parking lot, which was really just a field, about to jump into the line. As I stepped out of the car, I saw the sign, Welcome to White Wolf. Except the last word was covered up with the word haunted trail in red paint. Weird, but they warned me it was weird. That's fine. A loud wolf howl gripped my bones. The sad sound pulled a heartache from me. Me too, bud. Me too. It sounded real. They were really leaning into their name with that fake wolf howl. My head swiveled around as I tried to find the speakers. Wolves had been extinct in this region for a few years. That didn't sound like a coyote. Was there someone who owned wolves in this area? Not my worry. I walked to the booth and got my wristband. The teen looked at me and smirked as he slapped the bracelet on me. Alone? Yeah. You realize it's one of those saw type haunts. They may grab you and pull you out of the group. It doesn't always happen, but it could. Yeah, I've done those before. They haven't grabbed me yet. He shrugged. Good luck. I left and got into the line. There was a group of girls giggling around me. One turned towards me. Have you ever been here before? No. This is our 5th time going. We still haven't been grabbed. I heard from someone who knew someone that got grabbed. Their cousin married the person who grabbed them. That's weird. It was love at first sight. Have you ever met this person? You're just horny for Halloween. I love Halloween, one woman screamed. Her friend laughed as she turned towards me. Have you ever been pulled? First time here. Is it good? It's definitely top 10 in the state. I think the rumor of being grabbed makes it even better. Have you ever known anyone who's gotten grabbed? The girls looked at me like, met? No. Maybe this is just a threat and nothing will happen. Amp up that fear. What if you get grabbed? I said, maybe I was being a wet blanket. Was it really because the women in front of me were just here for a weird romantic connection? One woman frowned. Oh, shit, fooled again. We could have gone to the Mount Fort 3-story haunt instead. It's still a good haunt, Tilly. I guess. Her shoulders sagged as she moved away from me. Her friend glared at me as she turned back to the line. The line moved forward as I played on my phone. Eventually, the line moved. It pulled me into a group of 15 people. They gave us the usual rules for most haunts. At the end, they could grab people with no warning. I snorted. The brawny man giving directions looked at me sourly. You have comments, miss? I shook my head and looked at my feet. Heat rushed to my cheeks. I didn't think he would pick me out from the crowd. From behind me, snickers were coming from an attendant as they played with their props. Did you hear her pissed off the beta? I slightly twisted my body, allowing me to follow the conversation better. It didn't seem like I was eavesdropping, but I was. I couldn't help being nosy. Good thing she's not part of the pack. Anyone smell good to you? Nah, another dead year, I think. The other snorted behind his mask. Seems like the pack is cursed. Rarely any new mate. Can't be too bad. Just not a lot for a new generation. The man in the front clasped his hands, and my head whipped to the front of the group. Ready? I hope I missed nothing important. I followed the group as we wound through the first half of the haunted trail through a barn. After the barn and many jumps, we walked through a wooded area. Another wolf howl ripped through the air when an arm grabbed me and pulled me through the bushes. I screamed, but with the various screams ripping around me, no one would know better. I was stuck and hopeless. This is supposed to happen, I tried to remind myself. I was dragged a few yards away and pushed into the dirt. I tried to push up, but met the resistance of a body. They growled in my ear, and my body lit up with desire. What the fuck? Mate, he growled. I struggled against him, his fingers wrapped around a branch, and I swung it behind me. I really should be thankful I did some skull crushers in my workout. The guy paused as he groaned. I scrambled away from him, started running. This wasn't like any hunt type house I'd ever been to before. I followed the screams as I ran through the trees. Another wolf howled through the air. The sad howl was gone. It sounded hungry. Maybe it was my fear putting some sort of meaning into this. The bright light of a floodlight leaped into the tree line. I sprinted faster. Thank God I decided I was going to exercise last month. I would save myself from being the girl murdered in a scary movie. As I peeked through the tree lines, I could see many people muttering and running frantically. Someone called mate, but she got away, one man said. Where could she have gone? It's a she though, right? How did he lose her? Too many humans to find a stray one, another one hissed. Puck, was this some weird cult? I backed slowly away from the light as I tried to follow the screams. I needed to find a group and get back to my car.
Hi, everyone. We are back. I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did. I have questions I need to know. Where did this story come from?
I actually randomly purchased some covers like 6 months ago, but I had no idea. I was like, what am I going to do with this? Because I was stuck with the word white wolf because that was on the pre-made. And I don't know, when I read the call out for the stories and it was like prequel, and I guess it was because it was supposed to be Halloween themed. I keep falling back to haunted house things. I love haunted house. I just haven't been able to go in so many years. And I've always thought it'd be really cool to have some sort of story where a group uses a haunted house as a whatever they're wanting to do with it. So I used that as a way to find mates, and it just started growing from there. They haven't had mates in years, and it's either a curse or it's a punishment from their goddess. You know, they don't know yet. No one knows. And just that little story, I was able to extrapolate to a bigger story.
So I love the twist in the story. And without giving it away, I was very much impressed because we have fated mates and everybody's like, oh, they automatically fall in love. I love your main character. I love the fact that she's like, I don't know about that. What made you decide to go with that turn?
I feel like that's something I fall back a lot in a lot of my stories, because as much as we all want a soulmate, if someone came out to you and said, hey, I've just met you 1 minute ago, we are soulmates, I don't think the average person would be ready to go on that. So I really like that struggle. Like, how do I woo a regular woman?
It was perfect. And it made me just giggle because while she still had that attraction, she still had that question of like, what is going on here? And no, I'm not going out with you, you weirdo. What is all this about? So I had a blast. You mentioned other stories. What else do you normally write it?
I write a lot of different genres, but mostly there's still that chance to have a fated mate. So I have a lot of shorter PNR stories, so paranormal romance. And then I have a sci-fi novel with fated mates, but no one realizes they're fated mates because his genetics have been stripped from him that allow fated mates, and she doesn't know she has the capabilities of fated mates. So there's the whole struggle of why are they so instantly attracted to them, and they're trying to deny the bond.
I love it. What made you decide to submit it?
been trying to submit to different anthologies and collabs last year to get my name out there. I am still very new to publishing, and it feels like an uphill battle just getting my name out there. And when I saw, I was like, it's a short story. I can write that in a week if I really work hard. Plus, if this gives me a prequel to book covers I've already paid for, then maybe they'll give me motivation to keep writing those. Plus, there was that advantage of it being wide, which meant that's more readers that I can reach.
Need to know, what is your spice level for this story?
About 3.
Okay, it's pretty good. We're going between 3s and 4s. Sweetie, where can our viewers find you, where they can learn more about you?
I have a website, srgriffith.com, which has most of my trigger warnings and content warnings, plus links to all my stories because I publish. I have one story that's wide, so it's on Kobo and various other places, which I just went through that this week. Then a lot of my other stories are on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. And then I have a lot of stories on Vella. So some of those I haven't started publishing yet because they're connected to the holidays. I have almost a whole year of holiday-related stories that are paranormal. I've just started publishing one of those just because it's a little Halloween-y, but it's actually Christmassy. So I'm like, we're going to try both seasons. So I just started publishing that one, but it's a whole year of short and steamy paranormal stories regarding a group of paranormals living in a city.
Okay, listeners, you need to go check her out. She has fabulous stuff going on. What is your website? Tell us.
srgriffith.com.
Everybody, easy peasy to find. Go ahead, look it up, sign up for the newsletter. You don't want to miss out. Okay, dear, before you leave us, are you ready for the lightning round?
Okay.
Easy peasy, don't think too hard. Soda or juice?
Soda.
Okay. Fast food or comfort food?
Fast food.
Series or standalone books?
Series.
Or dogs?
Cats.
Here's a little different. Let's see how you do. One word that best describes you.
Tornado.
I like it. Awesome. Sweetie, do you have any closing remarks for us?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about the anthology and being on this podcast.
I am so thrilled you're here. As you get ready to start publishing, if you want to come back and talk to us, let us know. And thank you for being a part of the anthology. So happy that. And to our listeners, I promised I was going to go ahead and do my reading. So stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break and I'll be back to actually give you a piece of what I wrote. So sweetie, have an amazing day.
You too. Bye.
Hello, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us for this very amazing day. I'm so thrilled you guys got a sneak peek at this incredible collection. We have been working like crazy to put it all together. So we're super excited to have it all set and released and that you guys are enjoying it. And like I promised, I was going to give you a little peek of my story since I'm part of the collection. And since Jamie had to read it, I figure it's only fair if I do a piece as well. So my story is actually spice level is 0. This is a Bartholomew the Reaper adventure. So for anybody that follows my intern diaries, this actually takes place after Judgment Day. So this is a little bit, for anybody who hasn't read, it's a little spoiler of really what happens. So if you're interested and don't want to spoil it, I would say hold on to this and get the intern diary so you know who the characters are. Or if you don't mind, jump in with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. One of the things you guys are going to see throughout these collections is that I'm going to be keeping the same characters. So if you follow and you enjoy them and you pick the next one, you're just going to get more stories from Bart's perspective. So Bart is getting ready to start his own adventures. So for this first one, the story is called Bloodline. So I'm going to give you a little couple pages, kind of give you an introduction of what's happening and kind of going from there. Let's get started. So chapter 1, Friday evening, Halloween, Egypt, Valley of the Kings. Duck! Bartholomew screamed. I'm too old for this, Bob replied as he stumbled over a ruin in the tunnel. For a 40-something-year-old intern, Bob was in better shape than most 18-year-olds. But running next to the superhuman Reaper made him appear senile. Even without using his full powers, Bartholomew's strength and agility were on a different scale. Only his adopted sister, Isis, the other living Reaper, surpassed him. Bartholomew never complain, even if death gave him the gifts and powers after his demise. At least he wasn't dead anymore, and he wasn't reliving the terrible day. You'll be too old if they catch us, Bartholomew turned around and pulled Bob by his backpack to his feet with one hand. Bartholomew could lift his own weight and at least 5 other humans at the same time without struggling. While death blessed Bob with superpowers, extra strength wasn't one of them. He earned that the old-fashioned way, training every day. Normally, the idea of keeping up with the younger Reaper would never even cross his mind. Having to run for his life to avoid pissed-off werewolves made it an exception. On top of that, they were still carrying their backpacks. Each man carried a matching black backpack over their now dirty black suits. The only thing they changed before entering the tunnel were their dress shoes for rock climbing ones. We have to jump, Bartholomew informed him. Bob stopped next to Bartholomew, staring down a pit 10 feet wide. The hole was at least 20 feet deep. What is this? Bob asked. Are we stuck in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Dooms? I was thinking more like the mummy, Bartholomew added. Bartholomew pointed at the 3 scrawny mummies crawling across the roof of the tunnel, heading their way. Hissing sounds came from their mangled throats. It was hard to tell where their raggeds ended and the leathery remains of skins began. I'm never having beef jerky again, Bob gagged to force himself not to puke. I feel like we're stuck in one of those bad vampire movies with everyone hissing. Bartholomew looked around the walls. I'm sure Edward would not appreciate you comparing his race to those of 4 mummies. Bob ran his hands over the walls of the tunnel, looking for a way out. How do we get here? I blame those damn werewolves, said Bartholomew with a dangerous smile. I have a plan. Bartholomew grabbed Bob by the waist and winked. A week earlier, Nash, Texas. Slow down, Constantine told Bartholomew. What do you mean Imani is missing? Constantine stopped licking his paws and stared at the young Reaper. For a 5,000-year-old talking cat, he had a very short temper. As the trainer for Death's intern, it was his responsibility to keep track of the status of all his charges. A missing intern was as bad as having a nuclear weapon MIA. Imani was the new intern in Africa and the youngest. Are you sure she just didn't forget to check in? Constantine asked, jumping off the kitchen table at the Reaper's loft. The Reaper's crew had 2 main headquarters. The new one in downtown Texarkana in the old Union Station, and the original one at the Nash Business Park. Most of the business dealing with the haven for the supernatural community took place at the Union Station. The Reaper's building in Nash was a command center for all intern activities. The 2nd floor of the building served as both a meeting area and the sleeping quarters for the North America crew. I don't need her to check in to keep track of her. You know that, Bartholomew replied. Constantine strolled towards Bartholomew's command center on the far side of the loft. Satellite images flashed across 4 of the 6 monitors mounted on the wall. Bartholomew pushed his curly blonde hair out of his face. Stop playing with your hair, Constantine shouted as he jumped on the desk next to Bartholomew. I can't help it. It gets in my eyes, he replied. Then cut it, Constantine cleared the screen. This is the style, Bartholomew's finger flew over his keyboard as he spoke. Life was so much better before you care about fashion and styles, Constantine spoke. There was no heat in his voice. He was busy analyzing the maps on the screen. For a human, Bartholomew appeared to be in his prime, early 20s, muscular, drop-dead gorgeous. His new appearance was a gift from Death, as part of his transformation to being a Reaper. At the time of his death, Bartholomew had barely turned puberty and it was in the middle of a growth spurt. Death, his guardian, refused to have the younger Reaper become an immortal 14-year-old. While the body was much older, his mind was that of a teenager. Bartholomew was a very mature 17-year-old, but still 18. I swear, Constantine, I can't find her anywhere. Bartholomew pointed at the screens. How is that even possible? Constantine glared once again. We know she's not dead, Bartholomew said. I would have felt it. You? Yes, you, Isis, me, and of course Death, Constantine rolled his eyes. Tell me something I don't know. She could be in hell, heaven, purgatory, or some other plane. Bartholomew continued. Ignore him. Bartholomew. That one is so green, she can't find us on Google Map. He said, there's no way she will head to any of those places without asking. Maybe she was taken, Bartholomew whispered. Constantine froze. The Reaper's crew couldn't afford another kidnapping of an intern. Death will lose it, and ISIS will probably go postal on the world. Neither one of them spoke for a few minutes. Boss, we have a problem, Bob shouted from the door as he and Shorty rushed in. Bob's dirty blonde hair was a mess. Something unnatural for the 40-something-year-old intern. Not the oldest in the Reaper's crew, he was definitely the wisest. After becoming desk intern in North America, Bob started wearing button-down shirts and a vest. Skull covered the black leather he wore this evening. Shorty glanced around Bob's shoulders. Bob usually overshadowed his small stature. It wasn't Shorty's fault he was only 5 feet tall, but spending time with a tall Bob at over 6 feet tall made him look even shorter. Constantine took a deep breath and turned his attention towards Bob. I'm sure we have more than one, Constantine replied. What's the drama? We have a cult trying to resurrect the god said Bob. What? Constantine said. Explain. And I'm going to leave it there. And you guys need to check out this anthology. It's super fun, as I said from the beginning. You got a little glimpse. Pretty much think Indiana Jones meets probably the Mummy Reaper style. And that's what you guys are going to get. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. I am so excited you guys are here. We'll be back on Monday with our regular schedule and amazing authors. But go ahead, check out our collection. Make sure you guys follow us along. And by the way, if you're not following me in my newsletter, check out dcgomez-author.com. You can sign up for the newsletter as well. Get some free short stories if you go to the page. Sign up for the landing page. Download the free stories right there. And I will see everybody again on Monday. Thank you so much, guys. Have an amazing Halloween. Bye.